If you've ever wanted to really learn a Russian accent, not just imitate it, but to control it and use it on camera the way actors do, in this video, I'll show you how. Hi, I'm Sasha Piltsin. I'm a Russian dialect coach for film and television. I help actors build Russian accents that feel natural, consistent, and reliable in performance. If you'd like to take a look at some of the projects that I worked on, my IMDb link will be in the description below, along with the link to my website, which you are also welcome to check out in case you'd like to find out more about my work and my coaching. In this video, I'm going to show you a practical way to approach the Russian accent, same way actors work with it when preparing for roles. This is part one of the three-part series, where we focus on the foundation and the key factors that shape the accent. In part 2, we'll be going over the core sound patterns of the Russian accent. And in part 3, I will show you how to use these tools in practice, so you can take any text and prepare it for Russian accent, same way actors do when preparing for auditions or roles. Over the years, I've developed my own structured system for teaching this accent, the way of breaking it down so you can understand it and then build it step by step into something natural, consistent, and authentic, but most importantly, reliable in performance. There are 4 key factors that shape how accent works: memory, awareness, emotion, and audience expectations. I like to think of them as 4 controls on the same instrument, and if one of them is out of tune, the whole accent becomes unstable. Now let's look at each one of them more closely. Let's begin with memory. Actors develop something I call musical memory. Our ears naturally pick up the music of speech, the rhythm, the pacing, the way the line rises and falls. It's a lot like remembering a song. Once you hear it a few times, you can hum it, because your brain has already registered and memorized the pattern. Our brain remembers accents the same way. Once actors hear an accent enough, they begin to absorb it, and then naturally try to recreate it. That's where accent work usually begins: listening, absorbing, and trying to recreate the sound. Most actors already have a kind of built-in musical memory of certain accents they've picked up and absorbed over time, impressions and stereotypes they've collected. Some actors rely mainly on the musical memories and can perform quite successfully. But here's the problem. If the musical memory is the only thing that an actor relies on, an accent can become unstable. Certain sounds get pushed too far or used inconsistently, and that's when the accent starts to feel forced or uneven. You may have noticed this in film. An accent feels strong in one moment and weaker in the next. See, usually that happens when there is no real structure underneath the sound. Here's the proper way to approach it. You see, most actors store everything on one shelf, all their impressions and their musical memories. What we do, we build a second shelf, the foundation, the structure behind the accent, and that becomes your main shelf. And all those impressions that you already have, they don't disappear. They move to a different place. They become your decoration shelf. See, they're the details, the flavor, the personal touch that will make your accent unique. Think of it like making an ice cream dessert. First, you need the ice cream itself, the base, the structure, the thing that holds everything together. Then comes the toppings, the details, the personal instincts, the little things you add to it and to your character. Maybe it's sprinkles, maybe it's chocolate, maybe it's fruit. That part is yours. That's when you reach for that decoration shelf. So instead of trying to build the whole accent out of toppings, we build the foundation first, and then shape it with your personal choices and instincts, and sprinkles. That's what makes the accent consistent, authentic, personal, and uniquely yours. There's a concept in acting called double consciousness. It's the ability to live truthfully in imaginary circumstances while staying technically aware and in control. Part of the actor is fully inside the moment. The other part of the actor is behind the steering wheel. The actor believes in the circumstances, responds honestly, and stays emotionally present. At the same time, they know where the camera is, they know their lines, they feel the light, they control their breathing, and so on. That isn't easy. That's part of the craft. Actors train for years to develop this split awareness. Without it, the work falls apart. If an actor is thinking about the next line, we see it. If they're unsure about their blocking, we see it. If an actor is searching for the moment instead of living in it, we see that too. So what do actors do? They train the technical side so well that it disappears. The lines are there, the cues are there, the blocking is there. It all lives in awareness. But it doesn't pull attention away from the moment. You see, accent has to live in that same space too. It should be part of the system that actors are already using to perform. That only happens when the accent has structure. Actors need to understand the core sounds, they need to train them, and then they need to repeat them until they become automatic. So the goal is the same as with everything else in acting. Train the technique until the audience can no longer see the technique. And that's precisely what my approach is about. We don't copy sounds. We build a structure behind it and then train it until the accent becomes part of the actor's awareness. That's when actors can act freely, stay fully inside the moment, and still sound consistent. Because remember, in accent work, consistency is success. There is one more thing that decides whether an accent actually holds: emotion. I like to think of emotion as the godfather of the accent. Because even when you understand the structure, when you've practiced the patterns, and when you understand the sounds, emotion is what really proves it. An accent can sound perfect when you're calm, reading a text, practicing slowly, thinking about every sound. But acting isn't calm. On set, you're angry, you're scared, you're pleading, you are reacting inside the moment. And the moment emotion enters the scene, everything changes. Your breath changes, your muscles tighten, your rhythm shifts. And if the accent hasn't been trained through emotion, that's when it starts to collapse. That's why I always tell actors to run the accent through emotion. Don't just practice neutral lines. Argue with it, whisper with it, shout with it, laugh with it, cry with it if you have to. Put the accent under pressure. Or rehearse in character, the way you would actually perform it. Because acting never happens in neutral. We are constantly shifting emotional gears. And this is another reason why structure matters. Structure helps the accent survive emotion, but emotion also strengthens the accent. When you run the accent through real emotional states, the patterns become physical. The accent stops living only in your head and starts settling into your body. It becomes part of your natural response, so when emotion takes over, you are less likely to lose it. It's a bit like forging a samurai sword. The metal doesn't become strong just by shaping it once. It goes through heat and pressure and repetition again and again, and that's what makes it strong. Accent training works the same way. When the accent survives emotion, that's when it becomes reliable. For a long time in film, accents were used as cinematic shorthand. The moment a character spoke with it, the audience made assumptions right away about who they were. A Russian accent might have suggested mystery, danger, power. A refined British accent, authority, intelligence, or status. In other words, the accent helped shape the character before they had even done anything. In those cases, perfect authenticity was not always the goal. The goal was impact. The accent was there to create an immediate impression and help tell the story. Cinema has used accents this way for decades. But today's audience are far more sensitive to nuance. People can feel when an accent feels real, and they can feel when it doesn't. That means imitation isn't enough. You need control, you need detail, you need to understand how the accent actually works. And at the same time, not every project needs the same kind of accent. Today we work with much wider range of genres and styles than before. Different stories ask for different levels of realism. In comedy or satire, for example, a stronger or more stereotypical accent might be exactly what the story needs. So again, the goal is never to just copy the sound. The goal is to understand the structure behind it, so then you can shape your accent for the film, the genre, and the character. All right, we've covered 4 important factors that help shape an accent: memory, awareness, emotion, and audience expectation. And now I'd like to welcome you to part 2 of this 3-part series, where we begin building the Russian accent sound by sound. That's where the real work begins. I'll see you there.